John, there's two questions from the chat. I'm going to read the first one. It says on the first one on the SDR role evolution, it says you were a sales rep at Dell in early 2000. How have you seen this role evolve, and where do you think it's going, considering all the AI tools, augmentation coming to market?
That's a good question. I have a strong opinion on it. I do feel like, one, I'm a big believer that the SDR organization is the lifeblood of every business I've been a part of. Like, it is, if it's done correctly, it is the future, bench for talent. It becomes this great developmental role, which is really amazing. I think, for me, I think it's, I did SDR type roles in my past, and I would say, like, you get so much exposure to all the like hard parts of sales early, and you get a lot of the repetition, that you need to learn early, and you build, structure and strategy early. And so anyways, I think it's a great role for future talent. And obviously it's, where, if you do it right, it's where all the sales conversations kind of begin, right? This is just such a great, important role here. And so, one, I'm a big believer that it's continuously, evolving in its importance here. And I do believe with AI, like, I think that's the big concern is like, are we gonna, we're gonna automate the SDRs out of the equation? And my strong belief on this is no. Like, actually, I work with, some partners in the conversational intelligence world, and you've commented a lot on this, Jorge, and even your LinkedIn post, and I agree, completely here. Humans still, at the end of the day, want to buy from humans. Like, people want to deal with, with people. Yeah. And so I think that the world of a human completely disappearing from this, kind of part of the process, to me seems like it's, very far out of reach and probably not realistic. But I do think there is going to be more optimization. Like, I think the AI is going to be able to make it much more, easier for them to do their job. I think it's already making it where they can surface the things that they need really quickly. So instead of like, SDRs, BDRs in the past having to spend hours and hours building lists and researching, like, there's great tools out there now that basically surface, the, companies that are in market for your product, that are showing intent signals to buy, and you can have their contact information immediately. So gone are the days of like having to go pull all these pieces together, right? AI is able to surface it. And so I do think like it's going to make them more efficient. I do worry in some ways that we're going to over-engineer on, too much automated copy. Like, I feel like I've seen it and tested it. I think the ability to get, emails written from AI is a great start, but I think it still needs the human touch and it needs the personalization. And so, I'd warn anybody against that, being too much of a, overused hack to it. But I think it can shortcut some of the steps and make them more efficient. I do think we'll may need less, and I think that's just part of the kind of the world that we're in. Is that we're hopefully going to get some optimizations here. But I think there's going to be still a great career path for folks to come in and learn this, and then really kind of take their learnings in AI to the AEs as well, which I think is going to be another part that is going to see some transition and change too in the sales motion.
Absolutely.
There's an argument, if I may, that, and I want to know your opinion on this, that the AI is also going to lead to a lot more spam that every buyer is going to receive. But I think there's also a niche or a possibility that those SDRs or those AEs that are inside the bubble but using AI as an optimization tool are going to be able to stand out from the spammer crowd. How do you position yourself in that argument? How do you think is going to evolve in that sense?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I think, you're already seeing it. And I think that I feel like I've seen more content being created on LinkedIn. So I think like people are using it for content creation. I think people are using it for emails. I'm seeing, just already just like a mental note of that. Inversely, it is interesting. Like, I've had some sellers be like, hey, I sent you an email. Unfortunately, when you start getting inundated, and I didn't see the email, back to that comment, when you get inundated with so much of this, to your point, Luis, and like the, your brain starts to kind of compartmentalize it. So it's like I can see the very overly done emails that feel like outreach, and I just don't even look at them. Like, I actually, like, without even foldering them, yet in my Gmail, my mind is already doing it. And so I think the folks that will break through are the ones that will stand out. And I think there is a breakthrough there. There's also some really interesting I think cool things happening from a regulation standpoint that I think are going to help this. Like Google's basically saying that they're going to clamp down on mass sending of email. And so I think that's in response to this, that we're already seeing. I had a pet peeve with this even before AI, and that I feel like sometimes, outreach and SalesLoft and some of these sequencing tools can be, overused in the wrong ways. And if we gave them to young sales reps without much guidance and governance, like I would kiddingly say they'd load up the spam cannon and shoot off 1,000 emails. And that's what probably put us into this place here. And so they're going to clamp down on that, and I hear that the next kind of phase of that is that they're going to clamp down on phone dialers. So phone dialers will probably be next, which, fits. And I believe it. And I actually am like looking forward to it as a consumer to be able to answer my phone and not have to worry about this, number that I don't know that I'm sure is someone probably going to call to sell me, or trying to sell me. But it means that we're clamping down on those things, which I think means it will give rise to this more personalized experience. And so I think that, the ideal scenario is that an SDR, BDR isn't sending 1,000 emails. They're sending 10, but they know that they're to the, because we're getting so much, signal and intent and feedback from the, the buyer, the 10 that you're reaching out to, will be the right buyers that you're reaching out. They're in market, they're looking for your product, right? And it's the right title. Like, I think that's a perfect world that I'd love to see us get to eventually here. And I think AI can be a big enabler to that.
So what's an email that would attract your attention, John? I mean, your inbox probably looks like mine. It's like flooded. Your phone probably looks like mine as well. I have 50 missed calls, numbers I don't recognize. Yeah. What's a call or an email that you would say, you know what, I'm going to respond to this one?
Yeah, look, I mean, I do think it does matter if you are in market for that product, right? I think that is an important thing. That's hard. Like you can't, it's hard to nail that unless, you have, things like, kind of demand-based Sixth Sense, not to plug my current company here, but, being able to see that like, hey, Jorge is out there looking for this product, my email will probably land a little bit more. There are ways to find it even, just doing it the old-fashioned way. Like I think, back in the day, I used to look at like, what are they posting on Twitter? Because sometimes that shows what they're researching and, what questions they're asking, right? So that's just a place that's out there. LinkedIn has been such a great platform to see like what's, you can kind of read through, the lines of some of your posts, Jorge, and see like, okay, what does he really care about? What is he thinking about, right? And so if my product now matches to that, like that's what's going to cut through the noise. And so I do think when someone like from a brand that I have been potentially thinking about reaching out to comes to me, I'm like, okay, this is perfect. Like let's talk about this. Or look if they've taken the time to really personalize it. Like I think that's still very critical. Like my mind really, I'm sure you do the same way. I'm kind of curious. Like when you look at your inbox, you can spot non-personalized from a mile away. Like it's even in the subject. Like the subjects, like are just very generic and like overly promising of things that can't really be real. And so it's like and so I think people, back to people buy from, people and want to connect with humans, like being able to personalize it to show that they understand you, they understand what you care about, and they may have a solution. Like that's the thing that gets my attention there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think any email longer than a few sentences will generally lose me. Unless, it has to be a hell of a first sentence. That's the that's the thing.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that is actually like, if there's any takeaway for anybody listening, like, I don't have the attention span for it anymore, unfortunately. But I used to, as a young seller, think that I'm going to write this very compelling, argument in an email. And when they get to the end, it's going to just like almost close itself. And it's like, didn't even read it. Like I think if it was, really, not punchy and in a few lines, then my mind also pivots off that because I'm just too busy there. And unfortunately, that's a miss. Sometimes young sellers, don't catch them.